What was the first and the biggest challenge when you are working or on the DLC and for Diablo 4 Wrestle of Hatred?
The class, right? Coming up with a new class.
Yeah, coming up with the new, well, operationally, having the team work on a whole bunch of different things at the same time. But then really the discussion about like what should the class be, where is the class, like what geography is it going to live in, and then of course skills. Skill discussions are the most complicated and the longest.
Yeah, and with how all the loot kind of interacts with your skills and all the affixes and stuff, it takes a really long time. People don't seem to recognize how long it takes to make a new class, and that was something we really wanted to do. Is, you know, the first 5 classes were really sort of homages to the past of classic Diablo classes, or at least sort of power fantasy archetypes, and we really wanted to do something that was based in where we were going. You know, we were going to Nahantu, we were going to the jungles, and we wanted a class from that, and so that's where the Spiritborn was born.
That's right.
And but having something that is like not a classic power fantasy and finding things that how to make that super exciting and desirable. And so it's been really gratifying to see. We had a bunch of people come to campus and play. People are playing down in Hall 7 right now, and just to hear the response about how much fun they're having is just, it feels great.
And you just mentioned the geography, the class, and we're going into the jungle.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the jungle as a setting? Because of course you have so many geographical areas you can choose from. You
Sure.
can go to Isaac Tundra, you can go to a desert. Of course we had this already.
Right.
But how did you come up with the design of the jungle, or the idea of the jungle?
It was really John, really, right?
Yeah, it was our art director. I mean, geographically, that's what that area is, and we kind of knew we wanted to go down to that part of the map. But our art director wanted to do something substantially different with a color palette, but also a new texture, you know, with the vines in the dark jungle. And the theme really started to come together.
Yeah, so when you looked at, like, when you think about Diablo 4 as we launched it, it feels very gothic, very medieval.
Yeah.
And so John really wanted to go someplace different. He was like, oh, I want to go into lush, ancient jungles and have this sort of feeling. And as we started to explore the southernmost part of the eastern continent, we felt like, oh, this is actually working from a story perspective too, because Mephisto's stone was being held in Kuras, and then the idea that we're sort of bringing Mephisto back to where he started from. It was a great sort of full circle moment for us from a narrative perspective too. So it all kind of clicked together.
And you already mentioned the new class. What can players be excited about the most about it?
Well, I think for me as a player, the thing that I was excited about, when I first started playing, I started all Jaguar spec, and then over time, I felt that, and it's a weird thing to say, it's very fast, it's very fluid, it's based on, you know, a martial class, and I wanted to slow it down a little bit. So I started adding Gorilla into the mix with my skills. If you look at the spirits, like Rod says, it looks like there's 4 different classes, but it's really one that you can start mixing and matching skills. So I'm really interested to see what players come up with.
Yeah, I think it's a versatility. Like, I don't know that we actually said, like, so the thing about the Spiritborn is they're in touch with the spirit realm within Nahantu, and inside the spirit realm are these guardians that are able to sort of imbue the Spiritborn with their powers. And so you have the Jaguar Spirit Guardian, you have a Centipede and a Gorilla, and I said the Jaguar already?
Yeah.
Jaguar, Gorilla, Centipede, and Eagle.
Eagle.
I always got to remember all 4. You're able to, and they each have different sort of traits to their abilities. So like the Jaguar is sort of fire-based, the Eagle is very lightning-based, Centipede is very poison-based. And so the idea that you can mix and match those spirits together, and so there's a feature inside the class called Spirit Hall, where you can say, I want to focus on a particular spirit. And you can actually go, there's 2 slots, and you can go Jaguar, Jaguar, and be like all in, or you can start to, as Gavin was talking about, is mixing and matching, where you can go Jaguar, Gorilla, and go like, I want fast attacks, but I want lots of defense and lots of, you know, strength. And so that notion of finding your own play style, there's a lot of versatility in that. And I think that's what's kind of exciting, is that you can go in and pretty much everybody we talk to who play the demo downstairs or in Hall 7 is really about, they've done it slightly differently, or they've changed their build in interesting ways. And so I'm really excited for players to explore it.
Then the keyword mercenaries. What can you tell me about them?
So mercenaries, something new that we don't have in Diablo 4 that we've added. There's 4 mercenaries that you can unlock by doing side quests. Once you unlock them, they'll join your team. You get a hideout where they all hang out, and they provide services for you as well. But one of the most important things is that they will fight with you, and they have a skill tree that you can advance and unlock, so you can set up the way that you want them to interact with you in combat and the world.
Like a companion, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and they kind of round out your build. So like if you're a sorcerer and maybe you're very much like what we call a glass cannon, where it's basically you do a lot of damage but you're kind of vulnerable, then you can hire Rahir, who's a shield-based mercenary, and he can come in and protect you while you're doing all your damage. And it actually has two different systems. There's the companion system, which is if you're playing alone, you can have a companion come in and fight alongside you. But if you're in a party, like if Gavin and I are playing together, we can actually set mercenaries as a reinforcement. And what that means is that we can set up a condition where we say, hey, when I do this thing, like I cast a basic skill, or if I take a lot of damage, I want my mercenary to go and do this action. And so they will come in, do their thing, and then leave again. And so even in a party, we can both have reinforcements.
That would be my next question, because you just mentioned when you guys play together, both of you can have mercenaries or do you have, for example, one mercenary per group, or everybody can have his own mercenary?
Yeah, when you're in a party, there's no companions with you. It's just it's all players, but you can have reinforcements, and you can have different ones. And the nice thing too is when you're playing solo, you can have both the companion and a reinforcement, and they can be different ones. So we could say, oh, I want Rahir to be my companion, but I want Variana, the Berserker Crone, to be my reinforcement. So you can kind of mix and match that, because that's sort of how we think about. What's really exciting is that you can, when you're playing with them as a companion and a reinforcement, you'll build up rapport with them. And so you'll be able to explore that skill tree that you can actually tailor them to how you're playing. So like Altkin is the cursed child, the demon child. Well, you can kind of either push him into fire or magic, or push him into shadow magic. And so if you're a fire sorc and you have Altkin who does fire magic too, then that build can really work together.
It's also very easy to redo their skills. There's no barrier behind that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So respect. Okay, I want to decide to play. Hey, I'm the magic caster, as you just said, and then I rather go into with the sword. Then you guys do then the mercenary can do the magic stuff. Last question for the mercenaries: is there, without you guys giving away too much, but how does their story tie into the story of the DLC, or is it like just like a quest, or do they have a bigger picture to fit in?
It's a little bit of both, actually.
Okay.
Like Rahir is part of the main campaign, so when you play the Vessel of Hatred campaign, you'll actually come across Rahir and interact with him and go on quests with him. And actually, that completing quests with Rahir is how you unlock the mercenary feature. And so then the other mercenaries you can do sort of as side quests along the way to unlock them as well. But what's great is you actually run into them in the world too.
Okay.
So that you'll be going along in the open world and there'll be Subo fighting in some local event. And if you help Subo, they'll actually build up your rapport with Subo, even though maybe you don't have them as a companion right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then thank you very much. For my last question to you guys, a little bit more personal question is like, if you have to choose one thing from Vessel of Hatred, which you like the most, what would it be for each of you?
I think it's the hideout, actually. It's having the hideout. I like having everyone in the hideout. I like having, because there's a blacksmith that you can unlock with Rahir. There's also a tempering station. I just like having everything there. And it's a waypoint also in the hideout that you can set as a favorite.
For me, it's got to be the class. It's got to be the Spiritborn. The notion of having that versatility, but also having a new class in Diablo means the content you're playing automatically becomes different. In fact, you can play the Spiritborn all the way through the main campaign. So we recorded all the dialogue for the Spiritborn to take part in the original campaign. And actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to play the Spiritborn through the main campaign so that when I'm catching up with Neyrelle afterwards, it'll feel more like the Spiritborn has been there all the time. And so that sort of freshness of new gameplay through the new class is what I'm excited for.
If I could smuggle one more thing in, though, as a favorite. Each of the spirits have a really cool ultimate.
What happened to your favoriting your town portal? That was yesterday. That was your favorite.
Favoriting the town portal. There's a lot to love in Vessel of Hatred.
Although
there's a lot of things I favorite.
The town portal thing's not in the expansion.
Yeah.
I every time when I ask this question to any developer, it's like they always like, hey, I like this, but I also like this. It's like if you have to choose between your children, who's your
Right.
favorite, you can't because
That's
you love,
right.
you
Yeah,
love them all.
and
equally.
we're not done. Like we've been talking. One of the things that's been really fun about sort of how we talked about the Vessel of Hatred is sort of we introduced it at BlizzCon, and we sort of like hinted at what it was going to be, and then in the June showcase we really talked about what the story was in Nahantu and Neyrel, and then in July we talked about the Spiritborn, and now we're talking about Mercenaries and the Dark Citadel and the Kuros Undercity, the new dungeons we have. But we're not done yet. There's more in the expansion to come. So tune in next week, August 29th. We have a new stream. You'll find out about our whole Season 6 like progression 2.0, and you'll also hear a bunch of new stuff that's going on within the expansion as well.
All right. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And best of luck with the Vessel of Hatred.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much.